It's 4:15 in the morning and the farm is already awake.
Not because of an alarm, not because someone has somewhere to be, but because the wheat is ready, the weather is right, and if you miss the harvest window, everything you worked for the past 8 months is gone. That's the deal with farming. And the Amish understand that deal better than almost anyone alive. For a single day during harvest season, we're going to follow exactly what that looks like. You've probably seen the horse-drawn buggies on the highway. Maybe you've driven past the farms, the plain clothes, the no electricity rule. But most people have no idea what actually happens inside those farms when the season turns and it's time to bring in the crop. The schedule is brutal. The methods are 100 years old. And somehow, it works. So what does a full harvest day actually look like for an Amish farmer? It starts before sunrise. By 4:30 a.m., the horses are fed and watered, not because the farmer is showing off his work ethic, but because horses need time to settle before they work. You can't just pull a draft horse out of a stall and immediately ask it to pull a binder through a wheat field. The animal needs breakfast, calm, and time. Amish farmers know this the way most people know how to make coffee. By 5:30, the family is at the breakfast table. And this is not a granola bar and a coffee kind of breakfast. We're talking eggs, potatoes, bread, sometimes meat. The work ahead burns somewhere between 3,000 and 4,000 calories. The body has to be ready for it. First light hits around 6 a.m., and that's when the real work starts. The harvest tool you'd see on most Amish farms during wheat season is called a grain binder. It cuts the wheat stalks and ties them into bundles called sheaves, which then get stood up into stacks called shocks, so they can dry in the field before threshing. The grain binder is pulled by 2 to 4 horses. There's no cab, no GPS, no air conditioning. The farmer sits exposed to the weather, guiding the horses in long, straight rows across the field. For a 40-acre wheat field, this takes the better part of 2 full days. But during harvest, the whole community shows up. Neighbors, cousins, church members. An Amish community operates on a labor exchange that has no paperwork, no invoices, no Venmo requests. You show up for your neighbor's harvest. They show up for yours. It's been working this way for 300 years. By mid-morning, the field is filling up with shocks of wheat standing in rows. The kids are out there too, not as a cute photo opportunity, but because there's actually work for them. Younger children stack sheaves. Older ones drive teams of horses. By 10 years old, an Amish kid can handle a horse-drawn wagon in a working field. That's not nostalgia, that's just how it is. Around noon, everything stops. The meal break on an Amish harvest day is something to understand. The women have been working in the kitchen since morning, and what comes out to the field is a full sit-down meal. Roast chicken, mashed potatoes, homemade bread, pies. There's a reason for this beyond tradition. When your workforce is human and animal-powered, you cannot run on half a tank. The meal is fuel management. The rest is genuine recovery time before the afternoon push. By 1 p.m., the binder is moving again. Here's where the day gets interesting. In the mid-afternoon, the focus shifts from cutting to hauling. Wagons loaded with wheat shocks travel from field to barn, where the threshing machine waits. The threshing machine is often the one piece of equipment on an Amish farm that's shared across an entire district. It moves from farm to farm during the season, pulled by horses or sometimes a tractor driven by a hired non-Amish driver, depending on the community's rules. The thresher separates the grain from the straw. It's loud, it's dusty, and it requires people at every station. One person feeds the sheaves in. Others manage the straw blowing out the back. Someone else catches the grain going into the bags. Everyone has a job, and everyone knows it. You don't need a foreman. The machine sets the pace. If you want to understand how a community actually functions, watch how people work together without being told to. That's the part that's hard to explain about Amish harvest. There's no meeting to assign roles. People just know where they're needed, and they go there. By late afternoon, the grain is bagged and stored. The horses are brushed down, watered, and back in the barn. The equipment gets a once-over, and any minor repairs happen now, not tomorrow. Tomorrow the cycle continues. If this kind of thing is your thing, subscribe. We do deep dives like this regularly. By around 7 p.m., the family is back inside. The kids do chores. Animals fed again, water checked, everything secured for the night. Then dinner. Then, usually by 9 p.m., everyone is asleep. Not because Amish people lack ambition, but because the alarm is set for 4:15 again. What's wild about all of this is the yield. Amish farms consistently outperform industrial averages in soil health and long-term crop quality. Without synthetic fertilizers, without GPS-guided tractors, without the massive inputs modern agriculture runs on, the horses return nutrients to the soil. The slower pace allows for more attentive land management. Researchers who have studied Amish agricultural practices have found that the methods, as old as they are not primitive. They're adapted. Carefully and deliberately adapted over generations to work with the land instead of extracting from it. That doesn't mean it's the right model for feeding 8 billion people. It doesn't need to be.
People waking up at 4:15 in the morning.
Working alongside their neighbors without contracts or payroll software, feeding their horses before themselves, actually know what they're doing. The harvest window is open for maybe 3 weeks. Everything that matters happens in those 3 weeks. And then the field goes quiet again until spring. There's another one on screen if you're not done yet.